Good evening, I'm Andrew Chang. Tonight, lending a hand to Canada's biggest employers.
That collectively employ millions of Canadians.
What it means for industries in need, from energy to airlines.
I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Also tonight, heading back to school.
Mommy, my mask? It's in your bag.
Quebec begins an elementary experiment.
Through this experience, and I have shaken a lot.
Tracking the groups hit hard by COVID-19.
And new details on a horrible rampage.
Everybody deserves an explanation.
Shedding some light for the loved ones of 22 Nova Scotians. This is The National. Exactly 2 months into the global pandemic, so many individuals, families, and smaller businesses are relying on help from a kind of alphabet soup of government programs.
Now, the latest life support for an infected economy struggling to breathe goes to Canada's giants. The Large Employer Emergency Financing Facility, or LEAF for short, will give loans worth $60 million plus to companies with revenues of $300 million or more. But David Cochrane shows us how Ottawa is trying to assure Canadians this isn't just about helping the big guys.
The Prime Minister isn't opening a bank, but his government will act as a lender of last resort to avoid bankruptcies.
Our purpose is to keep large Canadian companies on their feet and protect the millions of jobs they provide.
It's big money to help the biggest companies.
But let me be clear, these are bridge loans, not bailouts.
So those bridge loans come with big strings. Companies have to maintain employment and investment levels. They must honor collective agreements and pension plans. No big bonuses for executives or shareholders. Companies also have to commit to future climate targets, and they must disclose their financial structure to the government so it can crack down on tax dodgers.
If we see situations where someone is engaged in aggressive tax avoidance, we will be putting in conditions or working out a way with them to ensure that they pay their fair share of taxes.
We're talking definitely of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of jobs.
Business groups say it's badly needed credit for badly hit sectors. Oil companies have been hammered by low prices and low demand. Non-essential retail outlets are ghost towns. So are major hotels, while air travel has largely ground to a halt.
It's the part of the economy that has been pummeled the most by this virus and probably has a longer return to normal life.
We are trying to make sure that we help all sectors across the economy.
So new credit for big companies, expanded credit for medium ones, and a clear sense it's not done.
We are looking at the pain points and pressures that different sectors are going through.
Those pain points will determine if even more financial support is needed. The government was adamant that this program should not be called a bailout, but that doesn't mean bailouts won't be needed as this pandemic drags on. David Cochrane, CBC News, Ottawa.
As the economy slowly opens, CBC News will examine the full scale of the pandemic's toll, including hard-hit regions like Alberta and Newfoundland and hard-hit sector. Tonight, it's two industries that could use federal loan support. In a moment, the view from a grounded airline industry, but first, Kyle Bax takes us to the oil patch.
This oil loading terminal was running at full capacity at the start of the year when Canada set new records for exporting crude by rail. Now, most cars sit idle. Business is down about 50%.
This is as bad as it has ever been. The discounted price in Western Canada has had a very dramatic impact.
Today's announcement of federal aid was what those in Alberta were looking for.
This is a very important sector to our country, and there's some great companies out there that need support, and we think it's important that they get it quickly.
Today's news, in combination with earlier measures for small and medium-sized companies, represents an expression of confidence in industries that have been gravely damaged due to the COVID pandemic.
Oil producers are losing billions of dollars. Even the healthiest companies are racking up debt. There is still too much oil produced around the globe, and demand for fuel has fallen sharply. Some companies won't survive.
The industry will look a lot different when that happens than it did before this started.
Oil prices have fallen so low at times they've even turned negative. This company laid off 70% of its staff, more than 1,000 jobs. Yet despite the sector's woes, there's still some optimism for brighter days ahead. Much of that has to do with new export pipelines, including the Trans Mountain expansion, which is finally making headway. The federal government-owned project is designed to ship oil from Edmonton to the Vancouver area. Contractors hope to break ground in BC for the first time next month.
The original pipeline was called, bringing oil over the Rockies was a really huge deal. And so there's a lot of really challenging terrain.
The hope here is that measures like today's might help its companies hold on until then. Kyle Bax, CBC News, Calgary.
So as you heard, Canada's airlines have been financially falling. Jacqueline Hansen shows us what Ottawa's announcement means for them.
Across the country, most commercial planes have been parked since mid-March. And airlines big and small are burning through cash. Some are tapping into the federal wage subsidy to help pay employees. But Flair Airlines says it's difficult to get banks or investors to lend money right now.
As we look at the rocky road of recovery, yes, we do need somebody that will come in and backstop these loans.
Ottawa's new bridge financing program may help, though it's still unclear how much money airlines would be able to borrow. This former Air Canada executive, now professor, says the government has no choice but to step up with money.
More likely going to have to come from the government to basically believe that transportation, air transportation, is vital to the survival and the growth of the economy.
Last week, influential American investor Warren Buffett stopped believing. His firm sold all its investments in U.S. airlines, even though they got a significant aid package from Washington.
The world changed for airlines, and I wish them well.
This researcher says Canada needs its airlines to stay competitive.
Especially if we have a second round of, virus crisis come back, then they will majority of them will go bankrupt.
If that happens, the wider economy will suffer.
Airline industry is the enabler of the international trade and tourism and regional development. So this airline industry is more important in Canada than most other countries.
The association representing Canada's biggest airline says it's pleased the government is recognizing the challenges the industry is facing.
There was really no measure or no means for aviation to get itself out of this current crisis without government involvement.
But until airlines get more details, it's unclear if the financing is the lifeline they're looking for. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
For more on COVID-19's economic impacts, join CBC News for a live, commercial-free, virtual town hall. Rosie Barton and Duncan McHugh host Living with COVID, your job, your money, your future. So tune in this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on CBC News Network and CBC Gem. And CBC Radio 1 listeners, check your local listings for airtimes. Be sure, please, to email your questions to covid@cbc.ca.
Now let's look at Canada's efforts to flatten the COVID-19 curve. After a relatively sharp climb early last month, it peaked first on April 23rd with 1,920 new cases, new infections, then again on May 3rd with 2,760, though many of those were actually previously missed Quebec cases being added to the stats. Overall, numbers have gone steadily down since. Today's count, 1,133. Now, today, Quebec sent thousands of students back to school. It is an experiment in the province hit hardest by this pandemic. Now, schools are still closed in the Montreal area where most cases are, but for the rest, the experience looks awfully different than we're used to seeing. Alison Northcott shows us.
You ready to go to school, babe?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mommy, my mask?
It's in your bag.
Students are coming back to something very different from what they left 2 months ago. They have to stay 2 meters from each other and their teachers. They can't share toys or play tag, and there will be plenty of hand washing.
I'm so happy to see you.
Staff are trying to make things as normal as possible,
so that this place feels as safe as it did before, as fun as it was, and isn't, there aren't constant reminders about the situation that we find ourselves in.
Bonjour.
But the reminders are hard to escape. At this school in Quebec City, a temperature check before class. At others, teachers with protective equipment greeted kids with hand sanitizer.
I took all morning to make sure that my students have their hands washed.
It's not mandatory to go back, and some parents are keeping their kids home.
Having a month-old baby, I just wasn't very comfortable with the fact of having my child being around maybe some other child that would have it.
But that's not an option for everyone.
I didn't really have a choice. I'm a nurse and my husband works.
Schools in Montreal won't open for at least 2 weeks.
There's nobody who's more worried than I am about the Montreal situation.
And he says he could delay the reopening even further.
Every jurisdiction needs to make determinations.
The Prime Minister is urging all provinces to be cautious.
Canadians across the country are looking very carefully at all orders of government and the decisions they make, and will be held to account if reopening happens too quickly and Canadians have to lock down once again.
As the first province to bring large numbers of students back to the classroom, Quebec will be closely watched by the rest of the country. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
Now, Quebec is very nearly alone in trying to salvage the school year. Of the 13 provinces and territories, 11 have said classrooms will not reopen. The only other holdout, Ontario. Premier Doug Ford said he'll announce a plan next week.
Right now, though, Premier Ford is taking some heat for possibly breaking his own province's rules on physical distancing. Today, during his televised update, he described a recent family gathering. Ellen Morrow has the fallout.
Unprompted, Premier Doug Ford described a Mother's Day perhaps less physically distant than Ontario's own rules seem to prescribe.
The girls came over. There was 6 of us, a direct family. None of the husband, boyfriends, no one came. From the chief medical officer right now, he still wants to keep it immediate family.
But Ontario's COVID-19 website does not exempt immediate family. Instead, it says everyone should practice physical distancing. That means staying 2 meters away from anyone outside your household. Social gatherings should also have no more than 5 people. The details of the Ford family visit are unclear, whether they were outside or if the family physically distanced. Still, Ford's revelation triggered confusion, even anger. One Twitter user writing, "I've never went this long without seeing my folks, so am I allowed to visit them now?" Another post says, "This upsets me as I would have gone without my husband and kids to my mom's house." Very contradicting. In an attempt to explain, Ford's office wrote, "We continue to rely on Ontarians to use their best judgment when interacting with individuals outside their household." All of this put the province's top doctor in a tough spot today, clarifying that the official advice to stay in your household bubble has not changed.
We're asking people to hold the fort for now.
But muddied messaging won't make that already challenging request any easier. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, after a hectic and constantly changing winter semester, universities are now making plans for the fall, but some are already saying their lecture halls will remain mostly empty. At least 3 universities in Montreal, including McGill, say their fall courses will be offered primarily online. On the West Coast, both UBC, SFU, also the University of Victoria say they're also sticking to online courses come September, though we are expecting details from individual faculties over the coming days. Starbucks Canada says it plans to reopen 2/3 of its stores by the end of the week, with the goal being to open the vast majority of them, 85%, by the end of May. Customers will need to wear masks, and all employees will have to take a temperature check before starting their shifts and wear a mask while working.
It means a lot for us to be here to honor her, and it kind of gives everyone maybe a little bit of closure in a way.
More than 150 people came out to honor Sub-Lieutenant Abigail Cobra in Halifax today. She's one of the 6 military members killed in a helicopter crash last month. The 23-year-old's family was joined by military and civilian dignitaries in a police-escorted motorcade. 2 fire engines, several military police cars, and many motorcycles followed the family's vehicle.
Now remember, that accident was just the latest tragedy for Nova Scotia. Today, new details emerged about another horrible night and day for the province, that shocking rampage last month. Over the course of 13 hours, a gunman killed 22 people before he was killed by police. Along the way, he set fires, created 17 crime scenes, and caused confusion by driving an official-looking police vehicle. Many questions remain, and today we got some answers. Kayla Hounsell has the details.
Nova Scotia RCMP say they now know where the gunman obtained the police decals for his fake RCMP cruiser. Investigators say they were created without the permission of the business owner, but the owner and the person who printed them are cooperating with police.
I'm very curious what this person thought they were doing and for whom when they agreed to take on this task for the shooter.
Police also say they now believe the gunman used an accelerant to set fire to various homes and vehicles. Witnesses told them he had a significant supply of gasoline. He also had 2 semi-automatic handguns and 2 semi-automatic rifles the day of the rampage. One of the guns has been traced back to Canada. The rest are believed to have been obtained in the United States. Police still haven't said the caliber of the weapons.
Holdback information can be used to vet future stories offered by witnesses or suspects.
The RCMP is also now conducting a psychological autopsy on Gabriel Wortman.
You're looking at the information provided by witnesses about the individual, their lifestyle, their circumstances, their emotions, their reaction to stress.
This criminal profiler says although the gunman is dead, this kind of personality analysis could finally produce the motive.
It's, I think, critical to an investigation such as this, where there's been such an impact to the public, to so many people of such a severe nature.
Investigators now say they want to speak with anyone who may have had a conflict with the gunman, whether professional or personal, no matter how long ago it occurred. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Halifax.
Well, now to a story with a plot line you might find surprising in this country. It's about an international landlord operating in 2 of Canada's biggest cities, and a warning from the United Nations. We'll let John Lancaster explain.
This one, Howard Druckman thumbs through dozens of notices he's received recently from Achilles, a Swedish-based corporation that owns the Toronto building he lives in. 38 so far, each warning of an impending disruption due to maintenance or renovations.
Shutting down heat, shutting down water, coming into the suites, checking fire alarms, those kinds of things. So it's been very interruptive.
Achilles owns about 3,500 rental units in Toronto, 3,900 in Montreal. The UN report hasn't been made public, but Leilani Farha says she has concerns with the way Achilles operates.
Tenants told me that renovations would get so unruly that tenants felt that they were being sort of forced out. And once a unit is empty, much easier to raise that rent right up there.
Achilles has 60 days to respond to the report. It insists it only renovates vacant units and is upgrading housing stock.
Our business model is to provide better livings, and those buildings present opportunities that requires renovations and more investments to the buildings.
Some tenants complain that comes with a high cost for them too.
There was renovation going on outside, so the drilling was at my head. There was renovation going on the other side of our space because they were renovating a unit there. And then there was a renovation going on across the hall in the elevator.
The UN says Achilles isn't breaking any laws, but wants the federal government to ensure Canadians have access to adequate housing in a tight rental market. The government says it's reviewing the report and will work with provinces on the issue. John Lancaster, CBC News, Toronto.
The U.S. has now hit another terrible number, more than 80,000 deaths related to COVID-19.
That's not breaking down. It's the hidden enemy.
Up next on The National, how the White House is trying to keep the situation under control.
Plus, bracing for a new kind of healthcare crisis.
Well, I'm a patient guy, but it's frustrating. I know I'm not the only person with this story.
From surgery backlogs to routine appointments, how our healthcare system needs to adapt yet again.
And later, a poem for these trying times.
Beauty and Carol come twin.
George Elliott Clark shared his words with us. We're back in 2.
People should continue to avoid public transport wherever possible, because we must maintain social distancing.
Those words from the British Prime Minister as he released a plan for reopening the UK earlier today. But the peril of it was underlined underground in London's Tube, where, scattered masks aside, commuters seem to be back in close contact. The threat of a resurging virus is already playing out. South Korea shelved plans to reopen high schools after a new cluster emerged linked to the slow easing of its lockdown. And 6 new cases have been discovered where the virus first emerged, Wuhan, China. The first signs of the disease there since early last month. Across the United States, COVID-19 deaths have now passed 80,000, and Donald Trump's inner circle is scrambling to deal with its own outbreak. Still, as Katie Simpson tells us, the president insists health and safety protocols did not break down at the White House.
Safety precautions at the White House, including temperature checks at the door, have not been enough to keep coronavirus out. And so, most West Wing staffers were ordered today to start wearing masks. Not the president, though, who denies there's a breakdown in the system meant to protect him.
That's not breaking down. It can happen. It's the hidden enemy. Remember that. It's the hidden enemy. So things happen.
2 White House staffers, including the press secretary for the vice president, tested positive last week.
Even in the White House, they haven't figured out how to get this under control and keep things operating on a daily basis. And again, as you said, they have basically unlimited resources.
Mike Pence is not in self-isolation, unlike 3 senior officials who were exposed, including Dr. Anthony Fauci. It raises new concerns about what kind of message Pence is sending to the public.
You see Mike Pence just going back to work as if nothing had happened. I think that's almost like a license to engage in dangerous activity yourself.
Outside of the White House, it is far from business as usual. Washington's mayor opened a new 400-bed COVID-19 field hospital.
We consider this site our insurance policy. We hope that we will never have to use it, but it is here.
The Capitol is not yet ready to allow businesses to reopen, even if the president says now is the time to start because of advances in testing capabilities.
We have met the moment, and we have prevailed. As far as Americans getting a test, they should all be able to get a test right now.
Donald Trump has previously claimed that anyone who needs a test can get one, and it was easily proven to be false. What's different this time, the White House is trying to argue, is that it's just earmarked $1 billion in aid to help states get more equipment. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
Now, there is COVID confusion in Russia, too. Today, the country recorded its largest number of infections in a single day, more than 11,000. But President Vladimir Putin also said it's time to start easing the lockdown. The CBC's Chris Brown takes us through the mixed messages.
Russians got conflicting messages today about the coronavirus. Infections are soaring, and yet after 6 weeks of being stuck inside, they will soon be free. President Vladimir Putin says the national so-called non-working days will end. And work in construction and most other sectors should be resumed. Fantastic, we've run out of money. We'll go back to work, this relieved couple told our producer. But others were more cautious. I think the isolation measure should be extended until the end of the month or maybe even the end of June, she said. Putin's reasoning appears to be that Russia has added tens of thousands of hospital beds so it can cope with new infections as the economy revs up again. But it's hard to see how more openness squares with the worsening infectious situation that even state TV no longer tries to downplay. Russia now has the 3rd most cases in the world. Vesti Nedeli, or News of the Week, showed healthcare workers grieving over the coffin of a dead doctor. I have never been so frightened and distraught as I am now, said Dr. Yuri Reitman. Indeed, Russia's death rate may be up to 3 times higher than the 2,000 or so official fatalities, according to the Moscow Times. It reports if a patient has the virus but dies from, say, pneumonia, that's usually what doctors list as the cause of death. For Putin, there may be good politics in moving to lift the lockdown now.
Putin вошел в роль Путина-освободителя.
Putin has taken on the role of liberator, political analyst Gleb Pavlovsky said to independent TV Rain, and he can shift the blame to others if bad news follows. It may also be that as Europe reopens, Russia doesn't want to get left behind. Chris Brown, CBC News, Vancouver.
We have to take a quick break, but when we come back, a look at who is getting sick in this country and how those on the front lines feel about their greater risk.
But first, 2 months after the pandemic was first declared, we're tackling some big picture questions with our panel of doctors tonight, including what our new normal has brought us, the bad and the good. That's next.
We will be there to support provinces, we'll be there to support businesses, we will be there to support Canadians through this difficult time.
It has now been 2 long months since the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic. And just think of how much has changed. Back then, maybe the biggest concern for some folks was their travel plans. On March 11th, Canada reported just 118 cases of COVID-19 and 1 death. Now, nearly 70,000 cases and more than 5,000 lives lost. 3 million jobs were wiped out by public health measures. Millions more people had their hours cut. In response, governments have unleashed billions in stimulus money, and the isolation of physical distancing has become the new normal. So at this 2-month mark, we want to take stock of what we've been through, what we've learned or have yet to, and what lies ahead. So let's bring in Dr. Isaac Bogosh, an infectious diseases specialist, and Dr. Samantha Nutt, a physician whose work has taken her to some of the most devastated regions of the world, also the founder and executive director of War Child Canada. Hello to the two of you. And, you know, Dr. Nutt, maybe I'll start with you, but I'll have you both answer this question. 2 months in, what have we accomplished?
Andrew, we accomplished what we set out to accomplish, which was really to flatten the curve, to not overwhelm our ICUs, to ensure that those who became sick with this virus were able to seek care. And so we did do that. We were trying to avoid what was happening in Italy. We successfully accomplished that. At the same time, this tragedy has taken a terrible toll on our long-term care facilities, and so there are ways where we really, unfortunately, despite what we have accomplished, also missed the mark.
Dr. Bogosh?
I completely agree. I mean, the whole purpose of a lot of this major lockdown that we're going through has really been to prevent the overwhelming of our healthcare system. And thankfully, we have done so. Of course, Dr. Nutt just points out a few areas that we need to improve on, but in general, we weathered the storm and have weathered the storm in pretty well so far. Obviously, we're not there yet, but we certainly haven't overwhelmed our healthcare system today.
Well, and you talk about, Dr. Bogosh, the fact that we're not there yet. There is a research component to all of this. In your mind, what are the big gaps in our knowledge today?
Yeah, there's some huge gaps. Certainly, immunity is one of them. So for people that have recovered from this infection, to what extent are they immune, and for how long does that immunity last? I think we need a much better understanding on what exactly is the role of truly asymptomatic people in transmitting this infection versus people with mild symptoms versus people that have what we call pre-symptomatic spread of this infection. And of course, the elephant in the room is, what are the best treatments for this? How do we develop an effective and durable vaccine for this infection? So those are the key issues that I see.
Right, and Dr. Nutt, I'm seeing you nodding your head. I mean, from a medical perspective, what is the fastest way to get the answers to those questions? And I also wonder, what are the barriers too?
Well, I think everything that Dr. Bogosh has just said is absolutely correct. We still don't even know in this country how many people, even roughly how many people were actually infected, have been infected with COVID-19, may still be infected with COVID-19 because of the limitations to our testing, especially early on. So knowing who is immune, what immunity means. So one of the ways that you get the answer to that question is to conduct serological testing, to do antibody testing, to understand how many people may have already been exposed and what that that exposure means in terms of preventing the future transmission or those people not becoming sick if they're exposed again. We still don't know the answer to that. But there are some good examples from elsewhere in the world. For example, New York, their public health, they just did a serological analysis, a sample, and they found that about 20%, actually 21% of people in New York City had already had some degree of infection with COVID-19. What that means in terms of whether they can get reinfected is still an open question, but we need answers to that in Canada, and the only way to get some of those answers is to conduct those kinds of studies.
More testing, more testing, more testing. Dr. Bogosh, though, vaccine. I mean, that's the other word at the tip of everyone's tongues. Are we all still in agreement that that is kind of the ultimate end game here?
It really is. I mean, if we have an effective and durable vaccine, this is our way out of the mess that we're in right now. Of course, we know it takes time to develop, but there's some wonderful vaccines that are under development, and we're going to have some really good results available as early as June with some of the vaccines that are in a more advanced phase. What we don't know is how effective those vaccines will be, whether or not those vaccines, if they are effective, if we'll need to have multiple vaccinations over time, or if one vaccine will be sufficient and provide protection for a lasting period of time.
You know, it's interesting when I think about how transformative this pandemic has been. I mean, it's not, strictly speaking, all bad. I think of the advances in virtual medicine, the fact that so many folks can work from home and do it well. Dr. Nutt, when you think of the new normal, I mean, walk me through, in your mind, the good, the bad, the ugly.
On the good side, I think as a healthcare provider, we have learned to innovate. There were very few adopters of virtual medicine prior to COVID-19. Now more than 70% of physicians in Canada are using some form of virtual medicine, making themselves available to their patients in a longitudinal way, in a more sort of organic way, which I think is actually important. It helps keep people out of the emergency departments, has really helped to stop overloading our healthcare system. So I hope those kinds of work from home lessons, even for doctors, that those will continue to apply.
Dr. Bogosh, I'll give you the last word. Same question, your portrait of the new normal.
Certainly from the bad and the ugly side, one other thing to add is I'm really worried about mental health. And I think that this is going to be a driver of deaths of despair related to suicide from substance abuse and overdose and depression and anxiety that can result from this, especially not exacerbated by some of the economic woes that many people are feeling. So I'm really concerned about that aspect as well.
Doctors, that's all the time we have for this, but we will have many opportunities to take stock going forward. Dr. Nutt, Dr. Bogosh, thanks so much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
And so we are going to continue this conversation with our doctors every night, also taking your questions. And this Friday, we want to hear from college and university students. What are your COVID concerns regarding your education? You can get in touch with us on Instagram, message us directly at CBC The National, or send us an email at thenational@cbc.ca.
When we come back, fixing the backlogs caused by this crisis, how the healthcare system is prepping for a new set of challenges. Plus,
there is a sense of fear, and you're in constant contact with the public.
A look at who the virus is targeting and what's being done to protect them.
welcome back. As provinces roll out plans to lift certain COVID-19 restrictions, a new potential healthcare crisis is already waiting in the wings, a massive backlog of surgeries and procedures. Vicadopia now on a system trying to adapt before that wave hits.
Richard Girk's worsening hip makes every step painful.
It's something like a pointy blade of a jackknife inside pressing on it when I bear weight on it.
Girk waited 2 years to see an orthopedic surgeon, only to have that appointment canceled by the pandemic.
Well, I'm a patient guy, but it's frustrating. I know I'm not the only person with this story. I know there's more than likely hundreds or thousands of me.
Most non-urgent surgeries have been canceled in Canada. everything from hips to cataracts. So a new waitlist crisis is brewing.
So this is data that we got from...
This surgeon is urging provinces to adopt a not-so-radical approach to getting through the backlog. Instead of patients referred to a specific surgeon for their operation, he proposes a bank teller approach, where patients go into a single lineup for the next available surgeon, even if they're in a different hospital or even city.
Imagine you're waiting for a hip replacement because you can't walk, and you happen to be in a queue that's 13 months or 14 months where you need to wait for your hip replacement, instead of waiting 6 weeks, which might be the next available appointment for some other equally qualified and excellent surgeon.
Family physicians also expect to see a flood of patients. Physical distancing and strict hygiene standards will make that even harder. This physician has co-authored a 5-stage plan for fellow doctors to begin seeing patients gradually, starting with high-risk cases. Less urgent matters such as screening and chronic disease will have to wait until next year.
So we really need to make sure that it's only the very, very small number of people who are coming into the office, whereas most people should continue to get their care virtually, either by phone or by video.
In a healthcare system already stretched, these changing times require a change in expectations. Vic Adopia, CBC News, Toronto.
Still ahead on The National, understanding who is most at risk from the virus in Canada and why some of those most vulnerable often can't afford to stay home. But first, on the day Canadian deaths due to COVID-19 topped 5,000, a reminder that CBC News is committed to telling their stories. It's a series we're calling Lives Remembered. And tonight, May McHale shares memories of her mother.
My name is May McHale. My mother, Isabel McHale, died of COVID March 18th. If you ask anyone about my mother, they would say what they remembered about my mother. They would say it was her cooking. She, later in life, developed Alzheimer's disease and had to be fed. She would forget to eat. But most of her life, my mom was the one that was doing the feeding and the entertaining, gathering family around the table. We moved to Lethbridge in the late 60s, Alberta, from Cairo, Egypt, via Europe. And, you know, those Egyptian specialties became very epic in our community, and it was really what brought us together. She made falafel when we came to Canada and was introducing them to a lot of friends. My mother, had she been born at a different time, probably would have gone to university, had a career, but that wasn't to be. She made the best of it. She coped with life in Canada very well. They were very grateful to be here. She did put together a cookbook that it was her dream to have that published, and my sister and I will do that someday for her. More than anything, I am really grateful that my partner and I were able to be with Mom those last days of her life, and we were able to say goodbye.
We are trying to tell as many of these stories as we can. And if you'd like to share one with us, memories of a loved one you've lost, reach out to us at covid@cbc.ca.
We know the majority of Canada's COVID-19 dead have been residents of long-term care homes, but other groups are vulnerable. Today, for example, Toronto had the first death in its shelter system. And of course, all the essential workers at risk on the front lines. Ioana Miliotis looks at what's being done to protect them.
Emergency rooms were bracing for it, the dreaded surge. It didn't happen, but no one is breathing easy yet.
We are not out of the woods. We need to be aware that there still are new cases happening. People are still getting sick from this virus.
The elderly from long-term care homes make up most of new COVID-19 cases, but there are other vulnerable pockets too, including essential workers who can't work from home. Toronto's Transit Commission has reported nearly 40 cases. Sarif Ali is one of them. He spent 12 days in hospital.
I would get a severe headache. That came up with vomiting.
Weeks after his last shift out of this garage, he's finally on his feet. but still feels unsteady.
I think it will always be on my back of my mind, and through this experience, and I have shaken a lot.
Social distancing has helped flatten the curve, but 40% of new cases in Toronto are connected to infections in the community and the workplace and spread to households. And the front lines are hit hard. At least 10 airport limo drivers who worked at Toronto's Pearson Airport have died since the start of the pandemic. And hundreds of grocery staff across the country have tested positive for COVID-19. Temperature checks and masks are mandatory for workers and customers at some stores, but new cases are still cropping up.
It takes a lot out of you to go in every day.
Helen Stathopoulos works for a major grocery chain.
There is a sense of fear, and you're in constant contact with the public, and you just don't know. So the fear of the unknown does weigh on you mentally for sure.
Others have no retreat at all. Outbreaks at homeless shelters have forced more people on the streets and into hospitals.
Do you want a mask at all?
This outreach group now delivers masks with meals.
A lot of drop-ins are closed or at reduced hours and stuff, so it's tough to actually get in and wash your hands. It's tough to maintain social distancing when you don't have four walls that you can isolate in.
As for the TTC, it's providing staff with protective gear and is disinfecting more often. And Ali got tested for COVID again to make sure he's clear to go back to work. It came back negative, but he's already afraid of getting sick again.
Making sure I'm okay to go back to work physically and everything else, but mentally it's something that I'm worrying about.
And the fear is what happens as restrictions ease and this so-called lull is over. Joanna Rumiliotis, CBC News, Toronto.
When we come back, finding the right words to describe this moment in time.
To spy past clouds how light results.
We give tonight's final words to a former poet laureate. But first,
Serenity now!
Tributes are pouring in for Jerry Stiller, probably best known for playing cantankerous father figures like Frank Costanza in Seinfeld.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances.
And Arthur Spooner in The King of Queens.
I am not moving, and if you force me, I will wear only underwear to dinner.
But his career started long before that, appearing in variety shows in the 1960s alongside his wife and comedy partner, Ann Mira.
Lance, please. Lance, you're moistening my knuckle.
He worked with his son, too, actor-director Ben Stiller in Zoolander.
I love that kid. Dumb as a stump, but I love him.
It was Ben who announced his father's death on Twitter today. He was a great dad and grandfather and the most dedicated husband to Anne for about 62 years. He will be greatly missed. Jerry Stiller was 92.
Get CBC Radio, CBC Podcasts, and CBC Music playlists together for free. Hear it all here. CBC Listen. Download today.
We'd like to do something a little different in place of tonight's moment. Like so many people, former Canadian poet laureate George Eliot Clarke is spending most of his time at home, but that has not slowed him down.
He's written a new poem about the COVID-19 crisis, and he agreed to read it for us from his home office in Toronto. So we'll leave you with that tonight. That is a national for May 11th. Good night.
Good night.
Weathering. Spring brings the dash and splash of rain, so leaves upholster all the trees, and home can be outdoors again, our faces bared to kiss each breeze. Winter's woeful, doleful weather made us standoffish, stand apart, fearing that to stand together would grant disease no distant start. Now willows dangle, rambunctious tendrils, green fronds that vein the wind, while pale trilliums jitter, conscious that beauty and peril come twin. From each
sanctuary cocoon. Let each citizen resurrect, feverish to touch, clutch, and swoon.
I know.
Ending forced traumatic neglect. Uncompromising is beauty and love.
I'd like to show you a hug.
While frost to blossoms melts. To breathe is to love. Our duty to spy past clouds how light results. To spy past clouds how light results.